We're here going to do a stick demo, shielded metal arc welding. This is a 3G, which is our position, so vertical up, open root. So we're going to start with a 6010 stick electrode. Our machine set about 61 amps. Our gap is tight 3/32, we call it, with a 3/32 land. We are looking for complete penetration on this root pass, and then we will change over to 70/18s for the balance. Get going on this. We got Braxton here with us, getting ready for a welding contest tonight. Try to set the standard here for him. I'll grab the wire wheel here in a second. So underneath the wine wheel, it has edge reinforcement here. We're going to go through and aggressively kind of knock that first layer of slag and stuff out. Grinder can be a good tool. If we get too aggressive with it, though, we can make that root pass too thin. So when we put our first 70/18 in, they call it a hot pass. If that root was ground too thin, then that hot pass could blow open the backside of that 60/10 root pass. So we've got to learn how to balance it a little bit. I'm just going to take a wire wheel, kind of clean the smoke and the BBs and stuff off. Big thing I look for is on the toe of the weld, which is where the base material and the weld metal come together. Look and make sure I don't trap slag in there. So we'll give it a little exam once Mr. Howitt sidesteps here, my cameraman for the day. As long as I don't see huge pockets, I know my 70/18 will open up, push a lot of that junk out. So we were running an 1/8 inch 60/10. Now we're going to run a 3/32 diameter 70/18. This first pass is not going to have really any motion. I'm going to strike off right in the center, really just cover that first 60/10 weld, making sure I hit both bevels, but just kind of hanging out in the center of the weld for this first one. Moving along at a nice pace, getting a base layer really built down for that 70/18 for the next couple fill passes. So hot pass, a little hotter, 78 amps, getting a little aggressive. I can see up close and personal, I can see a lot of slag being burnt out from the 60/10, which is good. That's what I wanted. He's going to be is maintaining this, so I'm going to actually stop it a little short. My stick electrode is very hot at this point. I'm going to stop it a little short and I'm going to make it clean, and I'm going to finish welding off that top section. Try not to fish mouth, they call the top of it. Try not to get too large of a fish mouth. grinder wheels back. What I did with that pipeliner wheels, I make like a runway, I call it. I tapered down. So I ended right up here, but I actually ground about 1/2 inch down, kind of tapered that, make that runway. So it's going to give me room to get that arc struck there and then work my way up. Probably even bump it down a few amps because I know my base metal's hot. So 78 back down about 73, 5 amps. And we'll deal with the restart after this. Grind that later. Drive. There's the start of that fish mouth, what I was trying to avoid. It's hard not to. As long as we don't make it excessive, we're okay, but it's hard not to have that. Now I have that machine already set up. I'm not going to really worry about that. I'm just going to kind of let it cool down. I'm just going to simply restart down here. Now I'm going to have a little motion in there. The welding contest we're getting ready for down in Kentucky says no deliberate left and right, but we know we can have a little natural shake in our hands. So we're going to run one more over to the top of this, then I'll split it up into 2 beads beyond this. So this is called fill pass number 1. Nothing major, just a little left and right oscillation, really we call it, not movement, oscillation. Welds touching over in each of those bevels. Stop my weld short. I knew I had that restart to deal with. So I've prepared that fill pass. My restart was right there from where the first fill pass ended and the hot pass took over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little weld right up here. Try to get my layers even, so that way I don't have a distinct mound halfway up the weld or 3/4 of the way up the weld. So this next weld is going to be a little short. Again, trying to not hit that fish mouth area with a hot electrode. Make a little shorter of a weld, try to control that. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to get up to the top and I'm going to try to push off all of my bevels and see if we can kind of fill that in. Hopefully not make it worse. Base metal's getting hot though. Eyes. I was able to fill a little bit of that fish mouth in. Maybe 1 or 2 more passes up like that and I'll have that. I'm going to grab that pipe liner again, flatten that weld face down. So what I've done, although this is practice at the contest, we hope we're able to advance through the visual part and get into a guided bend test. So we'll go over that maybe in a future video here in another couple days. But what I've done is I've really cut a groove up the toe of this weld. And it's going to give me a guide for my eyes to follow and for that weld to sit in hard against each of these base metal plates, against these bevel walls. So what I'm going to do is I had my angle been going in, I'm going to really cheat it a little bit. And I'm going to look to do is go from about half of the weld, again, because I can't get deliberate on my weave. So I'm going to go from the half to the right, clean that pass, and I'm going to go from the center to the left. We're going to have Mr. Howitt put this in a time lapse, so this will be the last I talk for a little bit. So these next 2 passes with my grinding and stuff will look a little different. So we've done root pass, single bead hot pass, fill pass, and now another layer of 2-bead fill. So our goal here is to bring it up to about 1/16 of an inch below the surface, because I know how much I can gain using each stick electrode. So what I'm going to do is we're going to let Braxton weld in on his practice piece here a little bit. I'm going to let mine cool down for a little bit. We will run a 3-bead cover or a 3-bead cap on it. Maybe even 4 beads, you never know. Let's see how it goes. It's been a handful of minutes. Plate's cooled down. We're going to run a 3-bead cover. You could work left to right or right to left, doesn't really matter. I'll probably start on this right side. Get a little slight angle. Push back towards the right, watching that I pick up that top edge of that bevel of our base. There we go. So I've done a 2 beads so far of my cover. I've left a nice little groove here. Getting a little bit of excess fill down here on the bottom, so I'm going to travel a little faster at first, try to not make it so obvious. Left a nice little natural groove there. I don't feel any need after inspecting it really to take a cutoff wheel or a pipe liner to groove out anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that 3rd pass up. I'm going to watch my weld metal transition in my base metal, make sure I don't leave what's called undercut, which is little snips of the base metal being removed from the hot arc. So we're going to stop this and let Mr. Howe throw it into a time. That's a wrap. 3-bead cover. We'll wire wheel it and let Mr. Howe take a few pictures or a little last video footage of it. Just to show you consistency. Look at that, Brax. Look at that, those are dead nuts.